Japan hides places where silence feels alive, where history bleeds into the ground and refuses to fade. These are not myths. They are wounds carved into stone, into water, into air itself. Step closer, and you'll feel it, watching, waiting, feeding on your curiosity. Ruins where blood once soaked the earth still echo with screams. A well that should have remained sealed counts endlessly, calling anyone who listens closer. A cliff where the betrayed fell still whispers with regret. The danger is not in what you see, but what follows unseen. The most terrifying truth is that these places remain open. Anyone can stumble into them. Tourists laugh nervously, locals avoid them, and yet the air itself feels different, heavier, darker. Japan's haunted sites don't simply exist, they hunger, pulling you toward memories that were never yours to carry. These are not attractions. They are traps, disguised as ruins, as history, as legends. The closer you step, the less the world outside matters. Fear sharpens, silence grows violent, and your name becomes part of the story. Every footstep feeds something that never should have survived. If you think courage will protect you, it won't. If you think disbelief will save you, it won't. Fear is the invitation, and attention is the offering. The only safety is ignorance. Once you know their names, you are already walking too close to their shadow. These are 3 terrifying places in Japan you'll regret visiting. If you dare to keep listening, remember, every story leaves a mark. Subscribe to Echoes of the East, and comment where you are watching from. If you have the courage to admit these shadows are now following you. Hidden deep within the forested hills west of Tokyo lie the ruins of Hachioji Castle, a fortress once drenched in blood. In 1590, the castle fell to invading forces. Hundreds of women, refusing capture, hurled themselves into the well. Their deaths were meant to silence them, yet their screams linger, woven into the stones. Today, the ruins appear peaceful, draped in moss and swallowed by trees. Yet the silence here feels heavier, like grief suspended in the air. Travelers who wander too far describe sudden unease, as if unseen eyes observe every movement. The well, cracked and ancient, remains the centerpiece, gaping wound carved into earth, waiting. Locals warn that after sunset, the well awakens. Phantom splashes echo from its depths, though it has been dry for centuries. Some explorers claim to feel icy hands brushing their ankles, pulling them closer. Others swear they heard women weeping below, their cries rising with the wind. Few linger long enough to listen. Nature itself seems unsettled at Hachioji. Birds vanish when shadows lengthen. Cicadas fall silent mid-song. Even the forest grows restless, as if rejecting intruders. Visitors report sudden dizziness, stomach knots, and the distinct sensation of pressure pressing down. It is not emptiness they feel, it is presence, suffocating weight that watches. Legends speak of soldiers who mocked the cursed ruins, returning home changed. One man refused to speak for days, until he finally whispered of a woman's hand gripping his wrist. Her face blurred, eyes hollow, yet her grasp left bruises. That night, he heard her counting in rhythm with his breath. Offerings appear at the well, flowers, coins, incense, some placed by locals honoring the dead, others scattered by unseen hands. Tourists who laugh often find their belongings missing, later discovered at the well's edge. It is said mocking the ruins invites misfortune, accidents, illness, whispers in the dark that follow home. Even historians who dismiss the tales admit the castle carries a unique weight. Records confirm women perished in the well, their lives extinguished by desperation. Yet no record explains the strange phenomena that continue centuries later. Skeptics come to debunk the stories, but many leave pale, trembling, refusing to speak of what they witnessed. The path leading to the castle narrows through thick forest. Visitors describe shadows stretching unnaturally across the ground, twisting against the angle of light. Footsteps echo behind them, though no one follows. The deeper they climb, the colder the air grows, as though the mountain itself exhales sorrow into the night. Those who dare approach the well often describe it as magnetic. Their gaze lingers longer than intended, drawn into the dark void. Some feel faint, compelled to lean closer. Legends warn that gazing too long invites possession, pulling victims into memories not their own, forced to relive screams that never ceased. Locals whisper that the spirits of the women remain bound, denied peace. Betrayed by war and consumed by fear, their anger now feeds on trespassers. Visitors report hearing feminine voices behind them, soft whispers in dialects centuries old. Turning reveals only shadows, yet the whispers sharpen, growing urgent, demanding recognition. One chilling account tells of a group of students exploring after dusk. They laughed, snapping photos, when one leaned over the well. Moments later, she screamed. She claimed something had tugged her downward. The others mocked her fear, until reviewing their camera revealed a pale, faceless figure clutching her arm. Fear at Hachioji is subtle, creeping rather than striking. Visitors often leave shaken, claiming dreams of drowning in endless darkness. They wake gasping, as if water filled their lungs. Some insist they hear counting in their sleep, the same voices that once echoed through the well, demanding they join below. The castle ruins are avoided by locals, not out of superstition, but experience. Farmers passing by at dusk refuse to glance uphill. They speak of figures watching from the crumbled walls. The ruins do not welcome the living. They consume attention, feeding on curiosity, until the past becomes impossible to escape. Hachioji Castle is more than stone remnants. It is a scar that refuses to fade. Tourists may dismiss it as legend, yet the silence remains hostile, the well still hungry. Those who enter seeking answers find themselves carrying screams back home, whispers lingering in every shadow. Some places never forget. In Yamanashi Prefecture lies a jagged cliff, called Oiran Buchi, known as the Cliff of the Courtesans. Centuries ago, warlords lured dozens of women here, with promises of escape. Instead, they were forced onto a false bridge built to collapse. One by one, the women plummeted into the gorge below, screaming. The massacre was meant to erase witnesses. These courtesans carried secrets of war, and their deaths silenced them. Yet silence never truly came. Locals say the gorge still echoes with cries on stormy nights, a chorus of women calling out for mercy. The wind carries their agony, shredding the air. The gorge beneath Oiran Buchi is steep and unforgiving. Travelers describe hearing wailing rise from the depths, though no one is visible. Some say the cries grow louder if you stand on the bridge, as though the air remembers bodies falling through it. Stones below remain untouched, as if cursed. Even in daylight, the sight feels unnatural. Birds avoid the gorge, and insects refuse to cross the air above it. Locals leave flowers near the edge, offerings to restless spirits. Tourists who dismiss the legends sometimes faint, overwhelmed by sudden vertigo, claiming they felt hands pushing them toward the drop. One chilling tale tells of a hiker who lingered on the bridge at dusk. He later confessed he saw dozens of pale faces rising from the gorge, their eyes hollow, mouths open in silent screams. He collapsed, trembling, and swore never to return. His companions say his hair turned gray overnight. The false bridge was rebuilt for visitors, but the structure is still feared. Some say footsteps echo differently on its planks, heavier, as though more than one person is crossing. Photographs taken here often reveal shadows of women in old robes, standing among the living, gazing silently into the abyss. Legends claim the courtesans were betrayed not only by soldiers but by fate itself. Their deaths stain the land, and their spirits cling to the cliff with endless resentment. Locals whisper that on moonless nights, you can see them standing at the edge, beckoning strangers to join them in the fall. A group of university students once tested the legend, camping near the gorge. That night, they heard singing drifting from the cliff, soft and sorrowful. One student followed the voice and was found in the morning unconscious, lying inches from the edge. He awoke muttering the word fall again and again. The gorge is now a tourist attraction, yet guides never linger after sunset. They warn visitors not to lean too far over the railing or mock the spirits. Several accidents have been reported, people slipping suddenly, as if pushed. Survivors often claim they felt hands on their backs before falling. Stories persist of drivers on nearby roads, seeing women in traditional attire walking along the cliff at night. When headlights illuminate them, they vanish instantly, leaving only mist. Some travelers report hearing tapping on their car windows as they pass, followed by distant laughter echoing from the gorge. Researchers dismiss the tales as superstition, yet they cannot explain the consistent reports of wailing and apparitions. Even skeptics admit the cliff radiates unease. Electronic devices malfunction near the bridge, batteries draining rapidly. Cameras freeze, refusing to capture images, as if the spirits deny their suffering being reduced to spectacle. Locals maintain the women's spirits remain unappeased, chained to betrayal. Rituals are sometimes performed at the site, offerings of incense and prayers whispered to soothe them. But every attempt fails. The gorge remains restless, its winds carrying voices that demand remembrance, not pity. The curse is not forgotten, it is alive. Legends say those who hear the women's cries 3 times are marked. Misfortune follows them, home illness, accidents, nightmares of falling endlessly. Some return to the cliff, compelled by dreams, as if summoned. For many, the boundary between memory and haunting dissolves, leaving only the echo of betrayal, pulling them closer. Oiran Buchi is not merely a site of tragedy, is a scar in the land itself. The cliff whispers of betrayal, despair, and endless falling. Those who visit carry the memory home, whether they believe or not. For the courtesans, death was not the end. Their screams still demand witness. At Hachioji Castle stands an ancient stone well, innocent in appearance but infamous across Japan. It is known as Okiku's well, named after a servant who lived centuries ago. Falsely accused of betrayal, she was bound, tortured, and cast into its depths. Her spirit, however, never left. The well remembers. The legend tells that Okiku served her master faithfully, guarding 10 precious plates. When one vanished, she was blamed. Though innocent, the accusation sealed her fate. She was struck down and thrown into the well. The water swallowed her body, but her voice climbed back out, counting plates night after night. Even today, visitors claim to hear her ghostly counting 1, 2, 3, always stopping at 9. The missing 10th plate is never found. The moment silence falls, a piercing scream erupts from the depths, chilling anyone who listens. The cycle repeats endlessly, as though Okiku's torment remains frozen in time. Tourists who lean too close to the well often describe hearing whispers in their ears, soft but urgent. Some faint, collapsing beside the stone rim. Others awaken from dreams of drowning, convinced they heard Okiku's counting in their sleep. Psychologists dismiss it as suggestion, but the stories remain disturbingly consistent. The castle itself adds weight to the legend. Its corridors creak, and shadows shift unnaturally. Visitors report seeing a pale woman with long black hair walking near the well, only to vanish when approached. Photographs sometimes capture her outline reflected in the water, even when the surface is perfectly still. Locals refuse to visit the well after dusk. They say Okiku's spirit is strongest at night, her sorrow rising with the moon. Guards at the castle once reported hearing her screams echo across the courtyard. Some quit their posts entirely, claiming the sound followed them long after they left. One tale tells of a samurai who mocked the legend, leaning over the well while counting loudly to 10. That night, he was found dead in his chamber, face twisted in terror. No wound was found, yet his lips were bloodied, as though he had bitten through them while screaming. Priests have performed countless rituals to purify the site, yet none succeeded. Offerings of incense, food, and prayers only deepen the well's silence. Some say Okiku does not want peace. She wants recognition, her name repeated, her suffering remembered. Forgetting her story is the true crime, one she punishes relentlessly. Visitors often claim to feel as though they are being watched from below. Looking into the depths, many describe seeing long strands of hair floating just beneath the water's surface. When they blink, it vanishes. Yet the sensation remains, the overwhelming certainty that something alive is waiting in the dark. One chilling account tells of a child who dropped a toy into the well. When the rope was lowered to retrieve it, the basket returned with a shattered porcelain plate. The family fled in terror. The child grew ill weeks later, whispering numbers in her sleep until she faded away. The curse is said to spread through sound. Those who hear Okiku's counting risk carrying her voice with them. Some report the numbers echoing in empty rooms, following them through corridors, even across oceans. The counting is patient, steady, waiting for the missing 10th plate that no one can return. Researchers studying the site admit strange phenomena. Recordings capture faint counting, not heard during visits. Batteries drain, cameras malfunction, and shadows distort on film. Some skeptics laugh, only to later confess they hear whispers when alone. It is not belief that sustains the curse, it is attention. Hearing is enough. Okiku's well stands today as a tourist attraction, but beneath the casual curiosity lies dread. Guides speak carefully, avoiding disrespect, for they know the legend still breathes. Those who dismiss it as folklore risk leaving with more than photographs. Once her voice enters your memory, it refuses to leave. Okiku's story is not just a tale of betrayal, it is a haunting that demands remembrance. The well remains open, waiting, drawing in the curious. Her voice continues, counting, always stopping at 9. Always unfinished. And for those who hear her, silence will never be the same again. Japan's haunted places are more than ruins, wells, and cliffs. They are scars that breathe wounds that never close. Each tragedy left a mark not only on history, but on the land itself. Those who step into these places carry fragments of sorrow home, whispers that refuse to remain silent. What makes these sites terrifying is not the blood spilled long ago, but the way despair endures. Centuries pass, yet grief clings to stone, wood, and water. Every visitor, skeptic, or believer becomes part of the cycle. The land does not forgive. It remembers, and memory is its sharpest weapon. To walk away from these stories is to think you are safe. But silence itself changes once you know their names. The world feels heavier, shadows linger longer, and echoes sharpen in empty rooms. These places were never abandoned. They are waiting, and now, their voices live inside you.